So we finally have some official news to talk about for Factions 2. I never even thought I would honestly be alive by the time we heard anything official about this game, since the last time we had heard anything from Naughty Dog, it was 2019, and we were told that The Last of Us Part 2 would not be paired with a multiplayer and it would be its own standalone experience. But Neil Druckmann during Summer Gamefest came out to talk about The Last of Us. It was mainly for the HBO show and like some remake for the first game, but we also got a little snippet, a little bit of concept art for Factions, which is what we'll be breaking down today. But before we do that, I'm going to show you a clip from Gamefest, so take a look at that.
Okay, well, what can you tell us about this new standalone multiplayer game?
Yeah, so we have a concept art that we want to show, but what I can tell you is that this game is big.
Okay.
It's as big as any of our single-player games that we've done, and in some ways bigger. It's got a story. The way we're telling that story is very unique to this game. It's got a brand new cast of characters. It takes place at another place, another part of the United States.
It's like a city might be somewhat familiar, some people.
I'm sure our fans have already figured it out. And it's really cool. And it's being headed by Vinith Aggarwal, Anthony Newman, and Joe Padnatti, all veterans of Uncharted and Last of Us. And you're going to see a lot more of this game come next year.
Now, in that clip, there seems to be a lot of emphasis on just how big this game's going to be. I don't think this concept art really even scratches the surface of the plans that Naughty Dog have for this game. Now, the first thing I want to show you guys before we even look at any concept art is a tweet made by Naughty Dog where they refer to us and they tell us to keep a lookout for more Factions 2 information. Now, they obviously seem to be hinting at something here, and I believe what they're hinting at is actually the game mode that we're looking at in this concept art. I believe the game mode that we're looking at is called Lookout. Now, the reasoning behind my theory is there was a leak back in 2020 with The Last of Us Factions 2, in which we got to see the menus for the game at that stage. Now, obviously it was in early stages of development. I mean, at this stage they're still talking about the game being developed and we're only getting sneak peeks of the game at this stage. But in that leak, we got to see a game mode called 2v2 Encounter. Now, obviously that's a bit of a weird name for a game mode. It doesn't really sound very polished. It doesn't sound like something that someone would want to play. And so if we look at this footage, we can clearly see here two new people. And then further down where this vehicle is, we can see two more people as well. So to me, this definitely looks like, well, a 2v2 encounter. So I'm sticking with my theory that I think this is a 2v2 game mode. And obviously if this is only one game mode, then that implies that there's many. And I would say that, yeah, that reinforces just how big this game is going to be. So I think with it being a 2v2 co-op game mode, I think it lends itself quite nicely to being the sort of game mode that would have a storyline to it, which is obviously what Neil Druckmann has been referring to a lot with, you know, a story component with new characters. And I think, again, obviously this is an introduction to those characters. Now, taking a look at some other aspects of this concept art, something that was popular among the leaks as well was this idea of destructible maps, kind of like Battlefield 2042. And we can see that that has appeared in this concept art as well. You know, we can see sort of chaos and destruction, we can see rubble. Something we can also see as well is that this is in San Francisco. So this is actually based in San Francisco, the state. Since obviously Neil Druckmann had mentioned that this would be in a different state, it would be based somewhere different to The Last of Us Part 2. Other stuff we can see here, so down at the bottom there is some infected as well, and obviously with this game mode there's going to be this sort of dynamic between you facing the other team, but then there's also infected AI, and the sort of tension that this would build as well into the game, and that's something that Neil Druckmann has been talking about a lot with this game prior to it getting to this point. Something you'll actually notice about Naughty Dog if you pay close attention is they'll actually start to experiment with ideas on different titles before they bring them into a large scale title like this. So for example, in The Last of Us Part 2, we saw the idea of having infected and having, you know, normal everyday people in the same environment. And we've also seen this idea of having an open world chapter in The Last of Us Part 2. We've also seen this in Uncharted 4 as well. And so these concepts will definitely translate into this big multiplayer title. But now just some last minute obvious stuff to show you that will be making a return in this game. So just some basic weapons that we already know about from the previous titles. So we can see here, you know, you've got your bow and arrow and your Molotov cocktail, the machete, and also the hunting rifle. So we know those will be making a return now to The Last of Us Factions 2. Obviously that's pretty obvious anyway. So there you have it. That's my breakdown of the concept art we saw at Gamefest. Now, I probably missed something, so let me know in the comments if you've seen something in the concept art. I'd like to know if there was anything else that I missed there as well. And I probably shouldn't do it, but I'm going to throw out a prediction anyway, why not? Just for a bit of fun. So I think I see a trailer coming out next year, early next year, probably February. Followed by, you know, obviously there's the HBO series. We don't have an official release date for that, but we know it's coming next year. And so riding off the success of that, assuming it is a success, we'll probably see a release date of maybe June next year, on the 10th anniversary of The Last of Us Part 1. That's what I'm thinking anyway. Again, let me know your prediction. If you like Last of Us videos, hit the like button as well. And also subscribe to the channel as well. We're hoping to reach 10,000 subscribers this year as well. And that's everything. Thanks for watching.